What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Realms of Metal. Eddie here, back with you from one of my favorite places on earth, my metal room here in the woods in PA. We're chilling, and I've been compiling another list. We're gonna do Death Metal Perfection Part 4 today. It's gonna be the last in this series, and this one's been a lot of fun. It's 15 perfect or damn near perfect death metal records to start your collection with, and a bonus on each one because that's what we do. So before we get into that, if you didn't catch it, last week we did an interview here with Vincent Crowley of the Vincent Crowley Band, Acheron, Infidel Reich, Wolfen Society. Great fucking guy, super humble. Came on the show no matter. He said he didn't care if we had 10 subscribers or 10,000. He would have done the show either way. He was very appreciative, and so was I. Great guy. Go out and buy his record. The Vincent Crowley record is called Beyond Acheron. It's really good. It's like a fucking gothic horror movie. That's the feel I get from it. So good. He's working on new stuff. It's done. It's going to be released like February next year, and he'll come back on and talk about it. So great dude, great band. Buy that record. So that said, I want to thank everybody for, watching the videos, commenting, liking the videos, people who've subscribed to the channel. Can't thank you guys enough. Again, it's a show, by the fans for the fans, so we get together and we talk about records, man. It's fun as hell, and that's what we do. And hopefully I can get in a video without the fucking cats tearing each other to pieces, like it's like hot and cold with them. They coexist for a little bit, and then it's like WWE in here. And sometimes I gotta separate them. Sometimes they knock shit down in my room. And one of our cats, so like our newest cat, she only has one eye. So like when we went to rescue her, well, we went to look for cats at the Humane Society. We wanted to rescue a cat, obviously. One of her eyes had an issue, and the woman told us that, she was going to lose that eye. So, like, she was the last left of her litter, and we didn't think anybody was going to take her. So, like, I kind of coaxed everybody else in the house to take a liking to her. Like, when we met her, like, she, like, jumped on my shoulder right away. Very personable, very affectionate cat. She's adorable as fuck. But we don't want her to lose that other eye, so that's going to be a problem. So that said, let's get at this list. So 15 more perfect or damn near perfect death metal records to start your collection, and a bonus. And we're breaking our own rules here on the Realms of Metal. We're giving 2 bonuses today. For the last one, I had such a hard time with the stuff that I wanted to include and the stuff that couldn't be included. So I got 2 bonuses today. We're breaking our own rules, and when this is all said and done, you're going to have 65 perfect or damn near perfect death metal records to start your collection. So that said, let's get at it. You're going to find on this list, and I didn't do this intentionally, you're going to find a lot of first, second, and third records from these bands. So I made sure that I went back to the roots and included the stuff that had to be included on one of these lists that weren't included on any of the others. So I think the newest record on this list looks like it's 1996, so it's going to be the newest record on this one. So it's going to be all old school stuff, man. So that said, let's get at it. So what better record to start with than, Death, Scream, Bloody Gore, man. So this was 1987 on Combat Records, their first. And, you had Chuck Schuldiner on this one. He did all guitar, all bass, and all vocals. And then you had Chris Reifert, from the legendary Autopsy on drums on this. So legendary record. On part 1, we did The Sound of Perseverance. On part 3, we did Spiritual Healing. Now part 4 is getting Scream Bloody Gore. Deserves to be on one of these lists, rightfully so. Influenced so many bands. A lot of horror themed stuff on here. Infernal Death, Zombie Ritual, Denial of Life, Sacrificial, Mutilation, Regurgitated Guts, Baptized in Blood, Torn to Pieces. Evil Dead is, one of the greatest death metal songs ever, with Zombie Ritual probably. Scream Bloody Gore, Beyond the Unholy Grave, Land of No Return. Deaths, Scream Bloody Gore, absolutely essential. All right, let's go to 1991. First appearance on Death Metal Perfection series, and long overdue. Dismember is like an ever-flowing stream. First release on Nuclear Blast, of course. Dismember, legendary death metal band, Swedish death metal band from Stockholm, Sweden. Like an ever-flowing stream, man. So to me, the best Dismember record, absolutely essential. You know, I remember as a kid and putting this on and listening to Override of the Overture and being like completely blown away. And soon to be dead, bleed for me. And so is life, dismembered, Skinner alive, sickening art, in death sleep, deathification, defective decay. Look at that picture. Dismembers like an ever-flowing stream. Essential. Essential. All right, let's go to, we're going to stay 1991. And on part one, see, I didn't know I was going to do more of these when I did part one. So I actually included 2 records from the same band on part one. The rule is, you know, 1 band per video. But on the first one, I did 2, you know, rightfully so. So on the first one, we did Altars of Madness and Covenant. This one is getting Blessed Are the Sick. Morbid Angel's second full length from Tampa, Florida. Absolutely essential, legendary record. Deserves to be on one of these videos for sure. The artwork on here was inspired by a painting called The Treasures of Satan, and it was done by an artist, Gene Delville. So if you didn't know that, that's where this artwork came from. And incidentally, the artwork was used by another band. They were like a thrash band from Sweden, who I don't know too much about, but they used it. The name of the band was like Hexenhaus, and they used like not exactly the same, but you know, pretty much the same cover art of that painting. So Fall from Grace, Day of Suffering, Blessed Are the Sick, Leading the Rats, Thy Kingdom Come, Unholy Blasphemies, Desolate Ways. Desolate Ways is one of the most beautiful instrumentals, especially from a death metal band, that I've ever heard. Like, put on Desolate Ways. It like that track like takes you to another place. It's beautiful. Always loved it. You know, it's like a guy who's like got nothing left in the tank and he's like ready to end it. You know, that's what song is going to be playing when that happens. You know, it's a beautiful track. It doesn't paint a nice picture for me, but it does paint a picture for me. It's just Desolate Ways. The name is perfect. It's you know, somber as fuck, but a great piece. So Morbid Angels, Blessed Are the Sick, absolutely essential. You probably got it, but if you don't, you need it. Let's go to 1992. This band's first appearance on the Death Metal Perfection series. We're going to Holland. Sinister's Cross the Styx. This is their first full length on Nuclear Blast. Amazing record, man. I knew I had to put a Sinister on this last one because I haven't included one yet. And they're a band that, you know, absolutely deserves to be on here. You know, I was looking at Hate, you know, as one. I was looking at, you know, I looked at their whole discography and I ended up going with Cross the Styx. I think top to bottom, it's their best record, at least for me. Perennial Mourning, Sacramental Carnage, Doomed. How great is Doomed, man? That's a death metal classic of a track, man. Spiritual Immolation, Cross the Styx, Compulsory Resignation, Corridors to the Abyss, Putrefying Remains, Epoch of Denial, another great one. So Sinister's Cross the Styx, essential in my book. Let's stay at 1992. Another first appearance, a band that had to be on here. I looked up and down at their discography, and you know, I'm going with Incantation's Onward to Golgotha. This was on Relapse Records, their first full length. They're from Johnstown, PA. Originally, I think they were from New Jersey, but they're in PA now. I remember when I bought this as a kid, I absolutely loved it. I used to make death metal compilations for myself and my friends. I had 2. I had Mark of the Beast, which was a Deicide lyric, And then I had Entrapment of Evil. Those are my two death metal compilations. I used to name them that all the time. So it's like, you know, Entrapment of Evil, Entrapment of Evil 2, Entrapment of Evil 3. And I used to put all these tracks from all these bands and make them for myself and my friends. And some of my friends actually still have those compilations that I made when I was in high school. It's fucking crazy. But great record, man. Golgotha, Devour Death, Blasphemous Cremation, Rotting Spiritual Embodiment, Unholy Massacre, Entrapment of Evil, Christening the Afterbirth, Immortal Cessation, Profanation. Absolutely essential. If you're not into Incantation, this is a great place to start. It's their first release, so I highly recommend picking it up. Can't go wrong. Let's go to stick with 1992. We got 392s in a row. Just the way it worked out. On part 1, we did Butchered at Birth. On part 2, we did Kill. On part 4, we're getting Tomb of the Mutilated. Cannibal Corpse, their third full length, originally from Buffalo, New York, migrated down to Tampa, Florida to be part of that scene. And there's some debate on whether Cannibal Corpse should be considered New York death metal. I mean, they did start in Buffalo, you know, so I guess that's debatable. But you know, essential album. It's got Cannibal Corpse's, you know, most celebrated track, you know, Hammer Smash Face. I Come Blood is amazing. I think it's just as good as Hammer Smash Face. Always been one of my favorites. You got the legendary cover art from, you know, Vincent Locke, who's done all the fucking artwork for Cannibal Corpse over the years. I mean, I remember having this shirt as a kid. I had the long sleeve, you know, and I had to turn it inside out when I wore it to school, you know. No. And I guess rightfully so, right? So Hammer Smash Face, I Come Blood, Addicting the Vaginal Skin, Split Wide Open, Necropedophile, Cryptic Stench, Entrails Ripped from a Virgin's Cunt, Postmortal Ejaculation, Beyond the Cemetery. Produced by the legendary Scott Burns. And this was on Metal Blade, by the way. Cannibal Corpse has been on Metal Blade their whole fucking career, which is, how awesome is that? Cannibal Corpse is Tomb of the Mutilated. Absolutely essential. I went with this over Eaten Back to Life and The Bleeding. You know, those were the three I was looking at for this one, and I opted for this one because I probably like it a little bit more than those two. But again, those two are great. So let's go to 1991, sticking with bands that were originally from Buffalo that migrated to Tampa, Florida. Actually, they migrated to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Malevolent Creations, The 10 Commandments. This was their first on RC Records. We featured on part 1 Retribution from these guys, which is my favorite Malevolent. This is number 2 for me. Brilliant record. It's got like a thrashy feel to it. Like Eaten Back to Life had like this kind of thrashy sort of feel to it. This is kind of like in that vein. It's got like a thrashy element to it in a lot of parts. Really good stuff. I mean, damn. Cover art by Dan Seagrave. Another one produced by Scott Burns. Premature Burial, Remnants of Withered Decay, Multiple Stab Wounds, Impaled Existence, Thou Shalt Kill, Sacrificial Annihilation, how good is that one? Decadence Within, Injected Suffrage, it's another fucking great one. Injected Suffrage, and Malevolent Creation. I love it when bands have songs named after the band name. So, absolutely essential. Malevolent Creation, their first full length on RC. Pick this shit up. Let's go to 1995. We're going with, on part 1, we had the self-titled Deicide record. See in the back. On part 2, we had Legion. And on part 3, we're getting Once Upon the Motherfucking Cross. Deicide from Tampa, Florida, their third full length on Roadrunner. Absolutely essential album. I was like debating on whether to put this one or Serpents of the Light. You know, I opted for this one. I like this one a little bit more. You had the intro clips, Once Upon the Cross and Trick or Betrayed, and the Last Temptation of Christ movie from way back when. Man, look at that. Look at that band photo in the back. How great is that? I love those old Deicide photos. There's just something about them, you know. They just scream evil to me, you know. Especially as a kid, like looking at these, it was like the best thing ever. Once upon the cross, Christ denied. When Satan rules his world, man, kill the Christian, trick or betrayed. They are the children of the underworld. That track is so thrashy, right? They are the children of the underworld. Behind the lights, thou shalt rise. To be dead, confessional rape. Deicides, third full length. Once upon the fucking cross, man. Let's go to 1991. We're going back to Stockholm, Sweden. On part 3, we featured Solus. And on part 4, we're getting Into the Grave, the legendary Grave, Into the Grave, their first full length on Century Media. Absolutely had to be on here. I mean, it was a no-brainer. I was looking at the rest of Grave's discography, top to bottom, you know. Solus is my favorite. It edges this out by a little bit, but, you know, Into the Grave is absolutely essential in my book. All the songs on here are good. It's just straightforward fucking death metal. Deformed, In Love, For Your God, Obscure Infinity, Hating Life, Into the Grave, Extremely Rotten Flesh, Haunted, Day of Mourning, Inhuman, Banished to Live. Every song is good. Graves, Into the Grave, absolutely essential. So I felt like I had to include a lot of the roots that I didn't include in the other videos in this. So I was going back to like earlier stuff from the bands, things that I feel like are either essential or, you know, partly my favorite too, you know. So like I said, this is all subjective, you know. Everybody likes what they like, and I get that, but you know, this is how I'm going with them. So let's go to 1992. On part 1, we featured Cause of Death. On part 4, we're going The End Complete. That's Obituary from Gibsonton, Florida. Their third full length on RC Records. This is a monster of a record. As a matter of fact, I think this is one of the best selling death metal albums ever. You know, I think it ranks in the top 5. I think he got Morbid Angel. I think Altars of Madness and Covenant are on there. I think there's a couple of Deicide records on there. The self-titled and Legion are on there. I forget. I may have the order mixed up, but I believe this is one of them, man. So phenomenal record. The End Complete. How great is that song? How great was the video? Like, it's one of those riffs that just sticks in your head. Dun 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 dun. Dun. Like, I'm in pain. Back to one. Dead silence. So killer. In the End of Life. Killer. Sickness. Corrosive. Killing Time. The End Complete. Rotting Ways. Not as good as Cause of Death, in my opinion, but you know, almost as good. The End Complete. Absolutely essential. If you don't have it, you need it. You know, hopefully I can find this on vinyl at a reasonable price. Hopefully they reissue it, you know, so I can grab the vinyl. But Obituary. Let's go to 1995. On part 1, we featured Effigy of the Forgotten. Part 4 is getting Pierced from Within. Suffocation from Strong Island, New York. This was their third full length on Roadrunner. Pierced from Within is a great record, man. So good. Pierced from Within, Thrones of Blood, Depths of Depravity, Suspended in Tribulation, Torn into Enthrallment, The Invoking, Synthetically Revived, Brood of Hatred, Breeding the Spawn. Suffocation has this thing where they like to redo their tracks on later records. I guess, you know, they feel like they sound better or whatever, but it's all good. They've actually done that like almost their whole careers. They redo these tracks they've done on previous records. So Pierce Within, look at the artwork on that. So killer. Produced, engineered, and mixed by Scott Burns again. So Suffocation's Pierce Within. Absolutely essential in my book. Let's go to 1993. On part 1, we featured Penetralia. On part 4, we're getting Osculum, Obscenum. Hypocrisy's second full length from Ludvika, Sweden. Nuclear Blast, Osculum, Obscenum. This is the last record to feature Massey Broberg on vocals, who went on to go to Dark Funeral as, Emperor Magus Caligula. That was his name. Osculum Obscenum, translated, it means obscene kiss, if you didn't know that. Pretty cool. Great record, man. Evil record. I love the Evil Hypocrisy records. The first two Hypocrisies, I love that shit. I love the alien stuff too, don't get me wrong. But, these take the cake for me when it comes to Hypocrisy records. Pleasure of Molestation, Exclamation of a Necrophag, Osculum Obscenum, Necronomicon, black metal. We got the Venom cover on here, and Inferior Devities, Infant Sacrifices, Attachment to the Ancestor. So underrated. Such a killer track. Check out Attachment to the Ancestor. And Althotas, Hypocrisies, Osculum Obscenum. Completely essential. Let's go to 1996. This is the newest release on this list. And on part 2, we featured Dawn of Possession. On part 3, we did Close to a World Below. Part 4 is getting Here and After. As I was looking at Immolation discography, I had to go with Here and After. Amazing record, man. So many good tracks. Every track is good on this. Nailed to Gold, Burn with Jesus, Here and After, I Feel Nothing, Away from God, Towards Earth, Under the Supreme, Christ Cage. How great is Christ Cage? Like, still, I haven't found a band that, and it may be because I just don't know of any bands, but to me, nobody sounds like Immolation, right? Like, Immolation has their own sound. You put them on and it's them instantly. I love that about bands. When you put their record on, you know who it is. Fucking Immolation from Yonkers, New York death metal. Second full length on Metal Blade, Here and After. Completely essential. Let's go to 1988. On part 1, we featured Testimony of the Ancients. On part 3, we did Consuming Impulse. Part 4 is getting Malleus Maleficarum. Pestilence, they are first full length. Pestilence are from the Netherlands. This was on RC Records. Martin Van Drunen on vocals, who later went on to join Asphyx on this one. Completely essential. To me, it's like a death thrash record, very similar to Consuming Impulse. But I think this one is underrated. I mean, everybody goes to Consuming Impulse, but I think this one is almost as good. I really do. Like, every track on here is good. Malleus Maleficarum, Anthropomorphia, Parasite, Subordinate to the Domination, Extreme Unction, Commandments, Chemotherapy, Bacterial Surgery, Cycle of Existence, Osculum Infamy, Systematic Instruction. Patrick Mameli is a death metal hero of mine. A lot of these guys in these bands, on these records, are death metal heroes of mine. So, but Pestilence, Malleus Maleficarum, absolutely essential, man. So pick it up. It's a banging record. All right, this is number 15, and then we have 2 bonuses, not 1, 2 bonuses, because we needed it, right? So we're going to go back to, on part 2, we did Shadows in the Deep. You probably know who it is. Part 4 is getting Where No Life Dwells, Unleashed. Their first full length, one of the OGs like Dismember and Grave, from Stockholm, Sweden. Century Media Records. Cover art by Axel Herman, who did the cover art for the Grave record, Into the Grave, as well, that we just talked about. So, Unleash, Where No Life Dwells. Dead Forever, Before the Creation of Time. How killer is that? For They Shall Be Slain, If They Had Eyes, The Dark One. Into Glory Ride, And the Laughter Has Died. Unleashed, Violent Ecstasy, Where Life Ends. Completely essential. The roots of death metal right here. One of the roots of death metal, at least for me. Unleash, Where No Life Dwells. All right, bonus number 1. Their first appearance here on the Death Metal Profession series. I felt like it was a band that needed to be on one of these videos. And I'm going with Necrophobic, man. The first Necrophobic record is the Nocturnal Silence. on Black Mark, which was Quorthon's father's label, right? Quorthon from Bathory, that was his label, Black Mark. You know, this was on that. Great record. It's like death black sort of metal. It's got, you know, black metal influence in it too. The Awakening, Before the Dawn, Unholy Prophecies, The Nocturnal Silence, Inborn Evil, Shadows of the Moon, The Ancient's Gate, Sacrificial Rites, Father of Creation, Where Sinners Burn, Necrophobics, The Nocturnal Silence. Look at that, great. That's a great pick, man. Completely essential in my book. You know, if you're not familiar with Necrophobic, they don't have a bad release in their discography. This one just happens to be my favorite, and it's old school, and that's why I included it in this. I felt like it's a band that had to be on one of these videos. So, last but certainly not least, special record for me. This is this band's first appearance on the series, and it's their only full length. And the reason I know it so well is because I grew up in the scene where these guys were from. I got to see them a ton when I was a kid, early 90s to mid 90s. They played everywhere. We had a great local scene back then. And, you know, this is one of the bands that, you know, we used to see all the time without realizing how legendary they would become. And I'm talking about Morpheus Descends. This was their first and only full length. They're from Middletown, New York. The original release came out on JL America. This is the one that just was repressed on Dark Descent. So you can get this on Dark Descent's website. Absolutely essential in my book, Ritual of Infinity. Holds a special place in my heart. I think this record is really considered like a cult classic these days. Like whenever I hear people talk about Morpheus Descends, you know, they always hold this record in such high regard, and I completely agree, man. So old school. All the songs are good. You got, man, The Way of All Flesh, Corpse Under Glass, Immortal Coil, Trephination, Proclaim Creator. That was the intro from Bride of Reanimator, and he says, "I will not be shackled by the failures of your God. The only blasphemy is to wallow in insignificance." Great clip. That's the intro to Proclaim Creator. Accelerated Decrepitude, Submergent Epitasphere, Enthralled to Serve, Ritual of Infinity. Fuck. Great record, man. Absolutely essential. If you're not familiar with Morpheus Descends, you know, YouTube their stuff, and you're going to fall in love with it. It's old school death metal at its finest. New York death metal. Killer stuff. So there you have it. 15 more perfect or damn near perfect death metal records to start your collection, plus 2 bonuses on this one. So altogether, with all 4 videos, you're going to have 65, and that's plenty. You know, this is going to be the last in this series. I felt like, you know, everybody has what they need to start their collection with. And, you know, there's a ton more great death metal records out there. Let me just give a shout out to ones that I wrote down that didn't make it on this list. You know, just want to give them a shout out and, you know, let you guys know what I was looking at here. So I had Niles Amongst the Catacombs of Nephron Ka, almost made it. Napalm Death's Utopia Banished, almost made it. Gore Guts, The Erosion of Sanity, almost made it. Brilliant record. We did Consider Dead on one of the other videos we did. Death and Roll, Entomb's Wolverine Blues, almost made it. Does it deserve to be on here? Is it a pure death metal record? No. But it's a fun as hell record, and one I grew up listening to. It almost made it on here. Dying Fetuses, Destroy the Opposition, another killer record. Cataclysm's Epic, The Poetry of War. Benediction's The Grand Leveler. Asphyx, Last One on Earth. Really killer record. Vader's The Beast. As I was looking up and down Vader's catalog, I mean, Vader has a lot of great records. I think The Beast is probably my favorite, top to bottom. It almost made it, didn't quite make it. Morgoth's Cursed, another great band. God Dethroned, The Grand Grimoire. I'm a big God Dethroned fan. I have all their stuff. Monstrosities, Imperial Doom. At the Gates, Slaughter of the Soul. You know, when it comes to like the Gothenburg death metal, you know, I like the Stockholm. You know, I don't know. I just like more traditional death metal. I don't mind melodic death metal at all. I have some of these records and I like them. I mean, I like In Flames. I like Dark Tranquility. You know, I like At the Gates. Is it my favorite stuff in the world? No. I know people go head over heels for that shit, and I totally get it. But I mean, my style is a little bit more traditional death metal. I like a little bit of melody, but not that much, you know. So, but At the Gate, Slaughter of the Soul is one I considered, as well as In Flames, The Jester Race, but I didn't include them. There you have it. You know, thanks for hanging with me on the Realms of Metal. This series has been fun as hell to do. You know, let me know what you guys think. You know, throw some records down in the comments that you think should have been on here, taking into consideration the other 3 videos that I did here. And again, thank you to everybody for, you know, watching the videos, liking the videos, subscribing to the channel. Can't thank you guys enough. We love engaging with everybody. We'll answer everybody. As I said, this music is subjective. It means different things to different people. And I get that, man, you know. So like I said, these lists are stuff that I feel should be on there. And then, you know, my favorite stuff thrown into there as well. You know, albums I like a little bit better than others, you know, all subjective. You know, let me know what you guys think. You guys rule. Thanks for hanging with me. And we'll see you guys again real soon. We got some great stuff in the works here at Realms of Metal. We'll see you.